one of the few studies that also evaluated personality and how, people reacted to robots based on their inherent personality traits.
Mm, kind of. There are surveys that look at the impact of personality, especially in the field of HCI, so human computer interaction, but also in HRI, human robot interaction. Yeah, there's definitely some work there that shows like that these personality traits do matter. The big five is what they're called. There's five key personality traits that the field tends to use, like neuroticism, extroversion. Sorry, it's openness, extroversion, what is it? Neuroticism, agreeableness, and conscientiousness. So there's like five key ones that have sort of been established in prior work in psychology that the field tends to use. And a few of them are repeatedly shown to be impactful in shaping the human robot interaction. So I think I've often seen extroversion and agreeableness be influential in shaping the interaction, like how positively the robot is seen to be, how detail oriented the human is going to be when interacting, how open minded for openness. So they definitely do influence. And it's going to be more of a post hoc analysis where you're not going to recruit to get like specifically extroverted people, but you might incorporate that as a survey when you're running the study. And then you can look after and say, okay, it's interesting if we look, there's a correlation between how much time they took and whether they're open-minded or whether they're agreeable. So that's sort of how that part of it would go.
Is there an ideal personality type?
No, I don't think so. It kind of just depends because, so for example, maybe agreeable will take longer. That doesn't necessarily mean their demonstrations are better. That might just mean that they take more time, but maybe it does. Maybe they're taking more time, so they're more deliberate. Yeah, because if you're looking for like the ideal person, ideal for what? Ideal in the sense that they're going to be most positive towards the robot, but that's not always ideal. There's a calibration there of like, you don't want them to just say everything the robot does is great because that can lead to dangerous situations.
Right. Well, okay, let's pick a metric. Let's talk about teaching quality. So, we talked about your paper talked about how agreeable people, they take longer to teach, and
Mm-hmm.
that extra time doesn't necessarily translate to improved teaching. So, where do you think that extra time is going?
I think some people just take more time. Like they're just, they enjoy the journey. They take more time doing their thing. Maybe there's also a sense of they're trying to be agreeable to the experimenter. So in a user study, it's such an interesting job because you're paying people to be there, and some people are very invested in the research, but also some people are just kind of there because it's money and it's a new experience. They don't necessarily have a stake in the research. And so they might rush through the videos. They might not necessarily watch the whole thing. They might kind of hear what your instructions are and then sort of move forward from there. So yeah, the more time might just be that, like, okay, I'm thinking through the instructions I was given. Let me really think through what I want to do and like spend the bulk of my time before I actually start teaching, or let me move slowly in case I hurt the robot. There's so many ways in which you can slow the process down, but that doesn't necessarily mean a bad interaction, because I could definitely see cases where feeling rushed is more stressful.
Yeah, and people respond differently to time constraints.
Yeah, so it's more just let me characterize what different personality traits might experience, but not necessarily say like we're designing for any particular, or like we have a preference for any. I think it's just important to know, yeah, what characteristics would influence the interaction and in what ways.